Let's talk about adrenal fatigue. 5 symptoms that will let you know you have it. What is the cause of adrenal fatigue? And what can you do to heal yourself from it? Well, first of all, let's just talk about what your adrenal glands are in the first place. So in your back, you have 2 kidneys. They're about the size of your fist. And on top of each kidney is a little hormone gland called an adrenal gland. Now, in Western medicine, these are considered to be 2 different things. You have the kidney and you have the adrenal gland that sits on top. In Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, they consider this to be one functioning unit that they call the kidney. And so when you have worn your adrenals out over the years, they can become fatigued, not be able to pull their weight and do what they're supposed to do. And that's what's going to cause the 5 symptoms that I'm about to tell you about. But let's talk about what are the jobs the adrenals do. So for one thing, they're your fight or flight hormone producing glands. Way back in the day, in the 1980s, I read a book called The Stress of Life, written by Hans Selye. That's what took me down the road of being interested in holistic health and, wellness, as opposed to just exercise, which was the field I was in at the time, fitness. So Dr. Selye is the one who actually discovered what the adrenal glands do and what their role is. So there's a sequence that you go through when stress hits you. The first step is the alarm step. And with alarm, that's when you first react to a stressor. Like here's a snake. You have a big reaction, you produce adrenaline, your body goes into fight or flight mode, and then you handle whatever that is. You run away from the snake, you kill the snake, whatever is necessary. You handle the danger, and then those adrenal hormones go back to normal and you calm back down. So the problem arises in that our modern stressors are very different than coming upon a snake. If you have financial difficulties, if someone in your family is sick, we all know the drill. There are many, many stressors that hit us that are long-term. So what happens is you hit that alarm state, and you stay there, and you stay there, and you stay there. And it's like keeping your foot on the gas in the car the whole time. You're redlining your vehicle. Eventually, that engine is going to sputter out. And that's what happens to your adrenals. I tell people all the time, it's like a bank account that has energy. You spend that money out of that bank account, you spend that energy, and if you spend it too much and you don't replace it, then there comes a time when you go to spend and there's nothing left in that bank account. So that's what happens to people over the course of decades of their life when they go through these kinds of stressors, some of them acute, like finding a snake, right? That's happened to me before, more than once. And oftentimes it's chronic. So what symptoms occur in the body when you have been redlining your adrenals over the years? Okay, number 1 is fatigue. Fatigue when you shouldn't feel tired. You slept well that night, you wake up the next day, you may have some energy, to start the day and you're going well, but then it's depleted way before it should be, and you just feel like, okay, I'm just ready to be a couch potato for the rest of the evening. Let's go ahead and get takeout because I really don't feel like cooking a dinner, that kind of thing. The second symptom would be aches and pains. So you get up from a chair and you start noticing, I make sound effects, when I stand up to go someplace. You start to walk and you say, gee, my body kind of aches. I feel aches and pains I didn't used to have. Wiping out your adrenals does contribute to that. Third symptom is low blood pressure, chronically low blood pressure. That doesn't happen to everyone. You can certainly have adrenal fatigue without having low blood pressure, but if your blood pressure is chronically low, that is a sign of adrenal fatigue. The next symptom is inability to concentrate, kind of a brain fog, you might say. When you've depleted your energy, basically you just don't have the oomph, even for mental tasks. So you may forget things, you may have a hard time remembering people's names, or you sit down to do a task on your computer and you're just kind of in a fog a little bit, you really can't focus and do it. That kind of brain fog is another symptom. And then the last symptom is when you stand up quickly, you feel a little bit lightheaded. You should be able to pop right up from a lying down position and have everything be fine. If you do that and you feel that lightheadedness, that is a symptom that your adrenals are tired. So what causes this? We already talked about chronic stress, and that is one of the main causes of adrenal fatigue. But think about it, what is actually happening when you feel stressed out? When you feel stressed out, your brain is getting a signal that something is not right. Okay, there's something going on that is stressing my body, and that's what makes that adrenal response happen. But there are things in our environment that we do not associate at all with stress that are absolutely sending that message to the brain, danger, danger, and we react to it by spending that adrenal bank account. So you have to go even a step undercutting your adrenals and go to your nervous system to look at what's causing your adrenals to stay active all the time. So your nervous system consists of your brain, your spine, and the nerves that run all over your body. And your nervous system is always feeling what's going on in the environment, right? What's happening? Is there danger, or are we happy? And so one of the things that can stress your nerves is electronics. Holy cow. I was talking with Nigel, who does this filming. I was talking to him earlier about the differences of when I grew up, when he grew up, and what kids today are experiencing growing up. Well, when I grew up, we did not have screens. We had a television, but we didn't have phones. We didn't have computers, no iPads, not even video games. We had none of that, right? And then when Nigel grew up, yes, the video games were around, but he spent at least 50% of his time outside playing, not inside on a screen of some kind. Today, kids are in front of screens all the time. I see, little toddlers sitting in a high chair playing with a phone, or an iPad to keep them busy during dinner hour. We have lots and lots of screen time with electronics. But it's not just screens. We wear Apple Watches. We have Wi-Fi blasting us 24/7. All these things our bodies interpret as something stressful, something that shouldn't be happening, something dangerous to us. So it helps keep that stress response going. Now, you're not going to live in the middle of a cave, right, where you get no cell reception and you have no electronics. You're going to have some of these modern conveniences, but you definitely want to cut them where you can. And in the case of the Apple Watch, that's right on your body. Turn that watch over and move it and watch the lights come on. That's pinging your body with energy. You have nerves all over your skin that pick that up. You can take a pin and touch anywhere on your body and you can feel that because there's nerves there. So electromagnetics are a big one that makes your adrenals go. Another one that you might not think about is exposure to pesticides. Pesticides work by destroying the nervous system of a bug. So when we spray the interior of our home or we eat produce that has pesticides on it, that affects our nerves as well, and our bodies react as a stress response. So another one is, certain medications, certain vaccines, those also create a stress to the body. And again, sometimes you need certain things from the medical community. I'm not saying you do nothing, but just understand there's going to come, a price with that as well. viruses that you may have had in the past. Like if you had mono growing up, that makes your nervous system a little more tender, so something else that affects you will have a bigger effect if you've had a virus in your history, fever, blisters, whatever it is. Now, there are 2 vitamins that are essential for your nerves to function properly, and those I want to talk about as well. Actually, there's more than 2. Let me just mention the top ones. So first of all, vitamin D. If you've never had your vitamin D tested, I highly recommend you do that, because you can't just say, oh, I take a vitamin D capsule and think you're fine. Your blood test should be somewhere between 60 and 80 to have your optimal level of vitamin D. So get tested and see where you are. But vitamin D is essential to build the insulation on your nerves. The second vitamin that's really important for building the insulation on your nerves is this one, vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 sometimes is not utilized properly by people in supplement form. Many people have a gene mutation called MTHFR. You may have heard of that. It's a gene mutation that doesn't allow you to methylate properly, which is a fancy term that means adding a methyl molecule to a vitamin so you can absorb it better. And so if you're B12, let's say you take a B complex vitamin that has B12 in it, or a multivitamin. If you read the label and where it says B12, it says cyanocobalamin. If you've got that gene mutation, you're not going to absorb that very well. So always look for B12 that says methylcobalamin. Cobalamin is just the name for vitamin B12. And then in addition to those 2 that are important for the insulation on your nerves, there are other nutrients that are also really important for nerve function. In fact, the entire B complex is important for your nerves. They all work in harmony with each other. So it's not a good idea to take only B12. You should take it in a B complex. Magnesium is another one that is very, very important for people, because most of us are low in magnesium. We do not get a good quantity of magnesium. Now, there's a few ways you can handle that. You can take a magnesium supplement, which I totally recommend doing, or you can also use like an Epsom salt, a magnesium based Epsom salt, and take a nice warm bath with that, and that will absorb through your skin. You can get magnesium lotion, magnesium oil, and rub that on your skin, and that is also very, very helpful to your nerves. So how do you heal yourself from adrenal stress? You gotta understand that you have to pay attention to your nerves as well. If you don't do that and you just take an adrenal supplement, you're just spitting in the wind, right? You're still, you're like throwing gas on the fire at the same time you're trying to put the fire out. So once you take those nerve irritants away, here's how you heal your adrenals. Number 1, you've got to get enough sleep. Super, super important. And what is enough? Minimally 7 hours, preferably 8 hours for an adult. Now, if that's difficult for you, you could try the magnesium form glycinate. That really, really helps to relax you to sleep well at night. The second thing besides getting sleep is doing things that bring you pleasure. We've all had the experience of like listening to a great song, or, tending your garden, or whatever it is for you. It's different for different people. But we've all had that experience of going, and you want to do more of that. Every time you do that, you're putting money back into that adrenal bank account. Essential oils are a great way to help yourself. Go to the health food store. Uncap some essential oil blends. Some of them are known for helping with stress, but see what smells good to you, because I guarantee you, when you keep whiffing those essential oils, you're going to hit one that you go, that felt good. Like I just felt my whole body relax a little bit. That's your item. You can use that in your environment. You can also use what's called adaptogenic herbs, and let me explain what that is. So herbs have many, many medicinal properties to them, and some of them will boost function, some of them will pull back a function like a hyperactive function. It can pull you down. A hypo or low function, it can pull you up. But an adaptogen is always going to pull you to the center. So if you have a hyper situation going on, it pulls you down. If you have a hypo situation going on, it helps pull you up. And hypo would be like depleted. Hyper would be like foot's on the gas, I can't slow down. We all know people that just can't sit down, right? They can't stop. That's a hyper thing. You've got your foot on the gas. So adaptogenic herbs are really, really good at bringing you to that middle. One of my favorites is holy basil. Another one is ashwagandha. And both of these are great adaptogenic herbs that will help pull the adrenal function to the center where it should be and shore you up. So it's well worth it to pay attention to your adrenal glands and re-energize them if they've been depleted over the years. But keep in mind, you've got to pay attention to your nervous system as the fundamental, like the undercut to being able to heal your adrenals. It'll give you way more energy and a much happier life as you age.